Um, Levi Peter, Minister of National Security, the guy from Maho who is very ignorant, Rayburn Blackmoore. Do not fuck with me. Do not fuck with me. Because I'm going to fuck you in your ass with Axel Grease. Because that's the only lubrication that's going to work.
Mr. not making joke. Mr. saying that with all his guts.
Hello and good evening once again. It's me, your popular and down-to-earth leader of the people, the direct descendant of Francois Macandal, and the leader of the upcoming renaissance of the African Caribbean people and of the Church of the Voodoo and of the Church of the true believing in a true living God who is man and who is woman and who was created as man. As you can see by this sign, if you see me, it's too late. Unfortunately, I wanted to wear my beautiful glasses for you, but it's for far vision, and this device is too close, so I can't see well. But I wanted to give a special greetings to the dear and beloved leader, dear Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt, who I'm told is on his way to Cuba to check on the starving students in Cuba who lack food, and some of them cannot get not Pampers but tampons. They have a shortage of tampons and pads in Cuba. So Prime Minister Skerritt had to go to check on that. I want to send my best wishes to the dear leader and to his family and his wonderful and beautiful wife, Mrs. Skerritt, and to baby Skerritt Jr. and Melissa Skerritt Jr., whom I witnessed doing a cutting ceremony not too long ago, mean that they're being groomed. And you have to groom them for power and for leadership. But there's a problem. There's a problem that we Negroes have that we don't realize is that we don't really have no power. The Negro has no power. Even where you are in Dominica, you think you have power. You think you're running things, but you're not. You're not. The things are being run by a few white people, and the Arabs. The Arabs are white people. They don't consider themselves Negroes. Don't mind if they speak with an accent. Don't mind if they eat fig and dashing, eat crab. They all are prejudiced towards Negroes, and the only thing they have ever done on any of those islands is to exploit the Negro. The Negro always buy from the Arab. The Negro always consume from the Arab. And not too long ago, someone sent a message which we happen to see on one of those things, what you call them, YouTube, Fancy Tube, Bookface, what's the other one? Instagram, that show a Chinese group of people with a compound on the island of Dominica and with a gate. And they captured a man and brought him into the compound. And we don't know what's going to happen to that man in there, whether they're going to sodomize him, if they're going to use any lubrication. If at least I offer Axel Grease, what are the Chinese going to offer that man? They say he was stealing from the Chinese, but here's what I was told. Another member of our church, a senior cardinal of the Voodoo Warrior Church, the Avenging Army of Francois Macandal, who today owns a squadron of 500 pocket-sized drones. Drones we can carry in our back pocket. Now, this is a special message tonight for Minister of National Security. What is your name again? Rayburn Blackmoore from Maho. You should know me and know me, Mel. My mother know you. My mother know your mother. And your grandmother and your great-grandmother. They all ran Sukuya together. Those people ran Sukuya together and they gutted people's children together. So my mother told me, Peter, I know that Blackmoore fella. Next time you talk to him, give him a warning for me. Tell him if he don't set you free soon, I will send a message to him. This is the problem, my dear people. I don't know what it is that Rayburn Blackmoore has over Roosevelt Skerritt. I don't know why Roosevelt Skerritt would appoint someone as Rayburn Blackmoore to be the Minister of National Security and Immigration. And we know about the incidents with the passports and the Haitians and the smuggling. Our church have the records. We have the records. We have a case. We're building a case. You see, we believe in law enforcement. You see, maybe Skerritt thought that because Blackmoore is a police, because he's a police, that makes him naturally inclined to know about security, justice, and law. But to be in law, you have to be able to read. And you must be able to read a lot and to write. And that's where I come and I say, my even dear friend, and some of you take my words and misconstrue it, saying that I said that I was going to sodomize National Security Advisor Blackmoore and Levi Peter with Axel Grist. But the truth is, these types of people, when they really violate the movement of Macandal and they become traitors, we don't need Axel Grist. It is sodomization without foreplay and without lubrication. Let me say it again. You will get sodomization without foreplay and without lubrication. And to those of you who don't know what sodomization means, it means that moke bogao, make servi Vaseline, make mette Axel Grist, make mette bacon grease, sel tape, so un gros lolo un bon dao qui ka pété bon dao do. Kena me do? Monsieur ni kesho ya 6 carat. Parce que monsieur pas un gars en bouquini en grand l'esprit. Monsieur pas un moun qui sa who should be running the judiciary. Blackmoore is ultimately responsible for the judiciary. The judiciary has languished in a nasty, dirty, old, over 100-year building. The archives of the little island nation state have been held in that building and has been transferred to what they say is modern, but it's just another old post office building. But the most stupid part of it all is that you're keeping the archives, which are mostly kept on paper, in an area that is very close to the ocean. Okay, so it's subjected to moisture. It's subjected to seawater. And so it is deteriorating. But most of all, as you all know, Ida's gade, nous se moun ka gade, et puis nous ka dizo sa ki ka fait. Nous ja dizo koumoun ki ka mort, ou ja wayo mort. Nous disons pour tirer nous autres affaires nous et puis ou pas ni pour jamais tant contre nous encore ou pas ni pour taper pièce commission personne pas ni pour venir dire quand Bouksa dit qu'il bogao sans l'amour et puis il pas qu'à même faire bail là, il va faire doucement, il va faire wed. Anyway, scared is scared of Blackmoore. Blackmoore is the Minister of National Security, and there's no security on the island of Dominica for the regular people of Dominica. Now, people like me, the police will harass because I'm a leader. I'm a leader of a movement, a leader of an army, a leader of a church, a voodoo master, and a witch doctor. And all who fuck with me will get fucked in the ass. Yes, in the ass. Even the women will not be fucked in the vaginas. They'll be fucked in the ass without lubrication and without foreplay. Well, let me tell the story of this Minister of National Security. We are a former colonial country, like all those other little islands and all the other stupid people call themselves Jamaicans, Trinidadians, and whatever, but have no fucking power. The power is in the hands of the whites. The power is in the hands of the Indians. The power is in the hands of the Arabs. And now they're handing the power into the hands of the Chinese. And the Chinese have their own military force on Dominica to protect themselves and to protect their people and to protect their economic interests. The Negroes have always been a puppet. If Patrick John was in power, Astafans had influence. If Eugenia Charles was in power, Astafans and Nassif still had influence. Now that Roosevelt Skerritt is in power, you see, the Negro, only job the Negro gets is to be a civil servant, a government job, a police job, a ministry job. Okay? The Negro has no genetic predisposition for industrialization and for industriousness. So the Negro think he have power because he's in government. But the government cannot run without money. And so the Negro has to beg the people with the real power for help just to make salaries every month. My message to the dear leader, whatever Blackmoore have on you, I have to get the tobacco burning, because without the tobacco, the spirits will not be around. You see, my great-grandmother and my grandmother will not be there to protect me. And I have to show Blackmoore that my voodoo is stronger than his. And my grandmother Sukuya and my mother Rona Sukuya is a stronger Sukuya than his people from Maho. We used to compete in the Sukuya competition between Masak and Maho. And Jamaho never win. Because you see, the cemeteries in Masak, the churches in Masak, all the spirits are in Masak. Okay? All the spirits, all the bones that mix together are in Masak. So we have the power of the zombie. We have zombie power. So let me tell you all this. When you go into government, you're supposed to create laws, progressive laws, change things. You don't inherit a system from the British from 600 years ago and carry on the same fucking way. You have to be innovative. And that man have not brought one goddamn law before the parliament that he has architect. Architect means to write. Écrit. Li even écrit. Ma connaître si monsieur ça li, ma connaître si monsieur ka écrit. Si monsieur te sera li, si te ka écrit, il te ka mène loi, faire différentes lois pour faire moun Dominique ni plus sécurité. Tu te dis, on peut qui est moi Dominique. Bouk la di moi, il y a deux garçons qui ont goumé devant in front of the court. C'est l'office, ça c'est l'office, right? L'office is the court, right? L'office. You do ka goumen do from l'office là. Un couteau. Des noms ka do devant couteau. Et puis three policemen right there, seeing the men fighting. And the police, rather than intervene to stop the fight, rather than intervene to stop the conflict, the police walked away. And it had to be the citizens. The citizens were the ones who had to take matters into their own hand to get these two men to stop fighting. Why are we paying so much money monthly for police officers' salary and there's no security on the island? Why is Norman Roll murdered in his own home by a delinquent that grew up under the Labour government 20 years, one generation? Sa mama, sa papa, no discipline, no upbringing. So this is what I want to tell you. Blackmoore, we have a beef and a score to settle. I believe as of this moment, you are the one who is trying to take my land. Où le vole témoin? There is no way a case stays in the court for 12 years. The person that brought the case against me has died. They've been dead for 5 years now. Michael Bruni died. He was the adversarial attorney, and he was a friend of mine and a relative. And then came Anthony Commodore. And Anthony Commodore got a very close friend of us, of my family, and of my stepfather, who turned traitor and made up gossip and stories against us. And when I saw him at Jolly's pharmacy, I said, Peter Joseph, whenever he used to walk up the street in Kenfield, I used to like to tease him. I used to make him so mad he could have died from a heart attack. As a matter of fact, I think that's how he got the prostate cancer. Because I told him, I said, Peter, come, let me bother you. I said, Peter, just come in the gate, come here, let me bother you. And Peter, the people claim they heard me quarreling with Peter. They went and they called the police. I never seen police come so quick. Because they say, and all I was doing is speaking eloquently like I'm speaking now. And I offered to bother Peter. And Peter got so mad. Anyway, they claim it's the neighbors that called the police, but I know better. It was a nice, beautiful female officer. I wish I'd see her again. I don't know. I think I see her somewhere. I think she got promoted because sometimes I see a woman in the picture with Scarrett in the ministry, and I think it's her. She was nice. I didn't go outside. I bring her in the house. She saw my tobacco. She asked me, what do? I told her what I do. I told her I'm a scientist. I'm a chemist, a physicist, and a computer scientist. And that's the other subject I have to discuss. But that's for another time. That's a subject for the dear leader who say he wants a degree in every house in Dominica. He wants a degree in every house. He's sending people overseas to study the dumbest subjects. Hotel management, medicine. Tell me, so many fucking doctors in Dominica, and the people still sick. The biggest business on Dominica is drugs. And I'm not talking about illegal drugs. I'm talking about Jolly's pharmacy. Jolly pharmacy putting everybody out of business. Because everyone in Dominica is on drugs. Permanent drugs. Permanent drugs. Okay, so guess what? So tell Blackmoore, I, Peter Emmanuel, Pope Peter Emmanuel the First, the voodoo master, the witch doctor, the boggerer, yes, the boggerer, straight up, the boggerer. As you all have to know, boggerers rule today. Boggerers run the US Navy, the French Navy, the Russian Army, the Chinese Army, and the biggest boggerers are the submariners, because it has been underwater for a whole year. So they have to fuck one another, okay? Let me tell you something. Don't fuck with the boggerers. Boggerers are dangerous people. Boggerers are the best gunmen, the best fighters in the world. Without boggerers, there'll be no war. Hitler had a whole fucking unit of boggerers. They were called the black, whatever, the black shirts. And they were effective killers. Now, Mackandal, from whom I descend, teach us not to use violence, because we didn't have guns, we didn't have bombs, we didn't have gunpowder. All we had is knowledge of chemistry and physics. How to do the blowfish, how to do the castor bean. My great-grandmother Sin Benoit taught me how to extract the poison from the castor bean to kill the neighbor's pigs. I will never forget those lessons. Those lessons stay in your head. You cannot take knowledge from a man's head. That's why I don't walk with a gun. I own a gun. I have a gun. I keep a gun. I may have more than one gun, but a gun is nothing. A gun cannot do shit. Only the pen and the tongue. And the tongue cuts deeper than water, as you already know. So anyway, tell Prime Minister Scary, he's making a big mistake. There are other, and that's the problem. The Indians getting all the jobs in the US, all the jobs in the Western countries, because the Indians are pursuing science and technology. I have not heard one boast, one marvelous speech. All the things I see on Bookface and Facebook and Instagram is Dominicans graduating in nursery, husbandry, how to feed people, medicine, and law. Oh, don't talk about law. So many of you are lawyers, and you are my best friends, the lawyers. So the matters that we have before you can be accelerated. We know that. We know that they have been de-accelerated because of you. And we know that you don't like me, and I don't expect you to like me, because this is not a competition for likability. This is a competition of fear. You will fear me the way you claim to fear God and to fear Jesus, and you will come to. Because as I have told you, everyone who has been involved in these matters have fallen. Mikey fell, Peter Joseph fell, and Anthony Commodore, who refused to take my phone calls, refused to receive me in his office, refused to respond to my emails, refused to respond to my written documents. And remember, I sent you all 4 letters and you all sent it back. So that means you fear me. So we're starting fresh again. We got rid of Oswald Walsh. Okay? We got rid of Oswald Walsh. Now he's selling prostitutes in Newtown and alcohol. Okay? And I'm told he looks so bad. And he's younger than me. He's younger than me. Okay? So all I'm saying before I say goodnight to you is that tell the lady, the new lady you have as the registrar, it behooves her to answer my emails. It behooves her to respond to my written document and tell her this is not a threat, this is not anything intending to intimidate or to say anything. But if you look at the list and you look at the record, and you're dealing with a man and where everybody who's involved with him is dying, would you really want to get entangled with that man? And as I have called for before, I believe Mr. Levi Peter would be a better Minister of National Security. He's a trained attorney. He knows how to read. He knows how to write. He might be instrumental in bringing forward some new laws to make our island more progressive. But if anything I want is a divorce. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. And as part of that divorce, I would like you to simply put my cases on the docket. Listen to the facts, because all the facts are in my favor. Remove the caveats from my properties. Set my titles free. And you will never hear a single word. I'm not involved in politics. If I were involved in politics, it would be a whole different story. If I were involved in politics, it would be a whole different game. I've lived my life long enough. I've seen guys like Afi Martin and all these other Zeze people be in politics. You see, my concept and my ideology when it comes to political things is very different. Now, what you have to know, in today's world, force is not monopolized by governments. No government in the world by itself has a monopoly on force. Private citizens and private groups are able to adapt and to bring force into play into any situation that they choose to. We happen to be believers in the pen, that the pen is mightier than the sword. But that does not mean that there is not a limit. And that does not mean that there is not something that can trigger you to go from a peaceful, non-violent resistor into a revolutionary. A revolutionary. And yes, those revolutionaries are buggerers too. Don't let them fool you. They're all buggerers. They're all buggerers. So tonight, I'll claim to be the first buggerer. You can run around and say you're the womanizer. Oh, one last thing before I go. One of the cardinals of the church sent a message last night on the Sabbath. And he asked a question. He said, what happened with baby Sarah? How did baby Sarah just disappear, just go away from the discussion? And he said, Pope, he said, Pope, please tell me, what are we going to do about baby Sarah? And I said, well, son, give me a week to pray on it. And so this week, we'll pray on baby Sarah. God bless you. I bless you as the head of the church, as the head of the Voodoo movement, as the Subcommandante Zero of the Avenging Army of Macandal. And if you think it's a bluff, if you think it's a joke, if you think that we don't have what it takes, if you don't think someone else is going to fall, that is entangled with me and with us, Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep being an obstacle. Keep creating an impediment. Don't respond to emails. Don't respond to written letters. Don't respond to official communications with your government and with your judiciary. Keep that practice alive. Keep that practice alive. Just keep it alive. And you will see. Just remember, no one stays on top forever. Not even in Borga. You have to switch positions. One man got to get under, one man get to get on top. No man stays on top forever. I bless you. I hope I wasn't too long, and I hope I wasn't too short, but as you know, it takes me a long time to come.